Go inside the Crimson Tide with your hosts Rodney Orr and Gary Harris, keeping you informed on everything Alabama. And now, Tider Insider TV.
If you want to know the truth about it, I wasn't pleased with the way we played. We got some really tough games with some really good teams. And if we don't get better, we're going to struggle. And we play some of those teams in very tough places to play. So my focus with our team right now is what can we do better? How can we get better? How can every guy improve? How can we get more guys to play better?
Well, that was Nick Saban after Alabama's dominating 52-6 win over USC on Saturday. Good evening, everybody, and welcome into Tider Insider TV, presented by Buffalo Rock each and every week. Alongside Rodney Orr from TiderInsider.com, I'm Gary Harris. So, Rodney, you know how Coach Saban is. He wants to see improvement. We're going to hear what the players say about it in just a moment. But first, we got to pop the top on our Diet Pepsi. Take a swig and get ready to go. What about Saban? 52-6, and he wants more.
Yeah, well, he knows that they have to improve. He knows what's coming up.
That's why it's the best. Now, the players, well, how did they see the game? Let's find out right now. Let's take you back to Dallas on Saturday night post-game and see what the UA players had to say about the performance against the Trojans.
I feel like we had a great start. I want to say we picked up right where we left off because we didn't leave off pretty good last year. But, you know, I'm very excited to see what this team can do going into the next following couple of weeks.
I mean, you know, it's the first game of the season. And, you know, we worked really hard this offseason. And, you know, sometimes it takes, you know, a little bit of time to get rolling on the offense or defense side of the ball. But, you know, we knew that if, you know, we kept trying to execute the little things that eventually we would find our rhythm and, you know, be able to start making plays.
All right, they did find their rhythm. They did start making plays. Let's discuss this game against USC, Rodney, because I was there, and I got to tell you, in the press box, it was an odd game. You see 52-6, and if you didn't see the game, you'd think, well, Alabama jumped all over them early. Well, not the case. The Tide offense under Blake Barnett, sluggish early. Jalen Hurts came in and fumbled the ball on his first snap from center. They're down 3-0 midway through the second quarter. But once Alabama got going offensively, it was over because the defense was good the whole game.
Well, you had a sense watching the game that even when it was 3-0, the way Alabama's defense was playing, if they would eventually score and go ahead, that the game was probably going to be over with. And once Alabama did score, kind of opened the floodgates and it snowballed a little bit, and Alabama just took over.
Yeah, defensively, as we said, the effort was consistent. Now, you always know early in a game, the offense may have something they practiced the defense has not prepared for. And Max Brown started out 7 for 7, and he had a long scramble in there, and they got a field goal. But after that, when you look at the fact they were held to under 200 yards of offense, I think 80+ of that came in the first quarter. I mean, it was a dominant performance. And the great thing about it, Rodney, is Alabama stopped the run and got pressure on the quarterback without having to blitz, without having to walk up the safeties. So that's almost impossible when you can stop the run and press the quarterback and you can play two safeties, split safeties over the top defensively.
Well, I think when you look at the defensive line, we've talked about it last year. Jonathan Allen had, 12 sacks for the season. He had 2 the other night. He had a dominant performance, I thought. I thought Dalvin Tomlinson played really well. And Deron Payne, I think, even though he didn't have a sack, he did get some pressure, Gary, a couple of times. So I think the defensive front played really well. How about Reuben Foster, the slimmer version of Reuben Foster, now about 225. This defense as a whole, very, very quick, very aggressive. And, you know, Gary, they were very physical.
You know, Foster's still cracking people, but he's learned to lead with his shoulder. Did you notice that, Rodney? He's not leading with his head anymore. Remember when he used to knock himself out?
Yeah.
I mean, literally knock himself out, but he will still lay the wood. There he is right there. I mean, nothing cheap about the way he tackles. When he hits you, you know you've been hit. And again, that defensive performance, if Alabama plays defense like this all year long, and I have no reason to believe that they won't, for you to beat them, first of all, your defense is going to have to play very well, and you're going to have to get some help from Alabama's offense in terms of turnovers, because it's going to be hard to take it 75, 80 yards against this D, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
They are stingy.
We thought they would be very fast. We talked about that, maybe a little bit smaller than what they had been. And again, we don't mean a small defense. We just mean a little bit smaller than what they had been. But, you know, Gary, that speed certainly showed up.
All right, let's talk about the offense, and let's get to the quarterbacks. Barnett gets the start, but it was Jalen Hurts that came in and really energized this offense. Yeah, a little sluggish to start. He had the read option. If he doesn't fumble that ball, I'm not sure he doesn't score a touchdown in his first play from scrimmage. But that play right there on 3rd down after he hit Calvin Ridley to keep get a drive going. Then the Stewart, you saw the footwork. You really saw all of the potential that this young man has to be special.
You know, last week we kind of hinted that we thought something might be up in terms of him playing, because Coach Saban said last week it was down to 2 guys. He was talking about down to 2 guys to start, but really thought Hurts would get in the game, and he did very early, very quickly. That was the plan all along, and once he got warmed up, Gary made that throw. I mean, he really kind of put on a little bit of a show, both throwing the football and running it.
Ran for 2, threw for 2. He's the first quarterback in 30 years to have multiple passing and rushing touchdowns against USC in the same game. Real quickly, Blake Barnett, not a great start, but he came back in the second half. I know the game was lopsided, but, man, he really made some nice throws. This one right here, that is as beautiful throw as you'll see to Garrett Dieter on a 45-yard touchdown.
Yeah, he had a great one to O.J. Howard, too. Had a really nice slant throw to Cam Sims. I thought, you know, again, for him, overcoming that adversity that was in the first half and coming back and playing strong, even though it was against a USC team that, let's be honest, had given up. I thought it was really impressive.
It was, and let's not forget, of course, the running game. Damian Harris averaged over 13 yards a carry. Alabama balanced offensively with the pass game and the rush game. Of course, it was extra special for offensive coordinator Lane Kiffin, who was fired as USC's head coach at the airport after a loss to Arizona State in 2013. After the game, Kiffin tweeted out a picture of his son with a game ball and the hashtag 3:14 a.m. LAX to show that is where he got fired and the time that he got fired when he came back in from the loss to Arizona State. Kiffin never wasting an opportunity to get in a good jab. Well, another former head coach at USC is joining the Alabama football staff. Coach Saban confirmed yesterday that Steve Sarkisian will serve as an offensive consultant this season. Sarkisian was fired by the Trojans last year, too, after reportedly struggling with alcohol problem. Yesterday, Coach Saban said the team is glad to have Sark as a part of the organization. Rodney, this is a guy that, like Kiffin, he is a proven head coach at the University of Washington. He had great success, got the USC job, ironically replacing Kiffin, and this is just another opportunity as an analyst to get another set of eyes, get somebody in the film room that can help your football team. I think it's a great move.
Well, he's a great offensive mind. He did wonders at Washington with several quarterbacks. I know he had a really versatile quarterback up there named Keith Price that could do a lot of things. He did a fantastic job with him. He's had pro-style quarterbacks. There's no question what Steve Sarkisian can do as an offensive mind and certainly lend ideas to what Alabama's doing now.
Yep. Again, 5 former head coaches on this Alabama staff. Only 2 of them are full-time on-the-field assistants. Well, still to come on Tider Insider Television, Coach Saban is not underestimating Alabama's next opponent, not by a long shot. Stay tuned as we preview the Western Kentucky game. That's coming up next. And also, we'll be welcoming your phone calls, emails, and tweets later on in the program. There's the information on the screen on how you can call us at 205-348-WVUA. That's 348-9882. Email us at TITV@WVUA23.com or reach out to us on Twitter using the hashtag TITV. We'll be right back with the only show that takes you inside the Crimson Tide, Tider Insider TV. We'll return right after this.
The team we're playing this week, Western Kentucky, I think most people probably don't even know that they were a top 25 team, finished ranked 24th in the country last year with a 12-2 record, and actually, won a bowl game and won their conference.
Absolutely. Conference USA. They beat Southern Miss in the championship game. Southern Miss just went into Kentucky on Saturday night, put a whipping on the Wildcats. It's a good league. This is a good team. Good news for Alabama. Coach Saban doesn't take any opponent lightly. I don't think he likes playing these kind of games because he knows the fans don't think anything about it. But Western Kentucky, while not a Power 5 team, Rodney, is a good team. A team that will pose a different sort of challenge for Alabama on Saturday. Here's the Hilltoppers head coach. You remember this guy, Jeff Brom. He can throw it. He's talking about playing the defending national champs in Tuscaloosa.
We're not blind. We see what everyone else sees, and this is the very best team in the country. They've got tremendous talent, great size, great speed at every position. There are no weaknesses. They're coached by the best coach in the country. He's proven it. He's been there. He's done that. But our guys will be excited for this opportunity to go down there and play a caliber team like Alabama, an SEC opponent, the national champions at their place, their first home game. I think our guys will be ready.
Yeah, just a quick discussion on this team because I have studied them up a little bit. They're good. Brandon Doughty, their quarterback last year, is with the Dolphins. He was a record-setting guy. Mike White, this guy comes in from South Florida as a transfer. All he does is throw for 500-plus and 3 touchdowns as they blew out Rice 46-14. This is the kind of team that can really play, and the fans and people don't recognize that. So There's a little bit of a lackluster attitude. I don't think the team will have it, but they are catching Alabama between SC and Ole Miss. The Tide better be ready to strap it on Saturday afternoon, Rodney. This team's good.
It's a good time to catch Alabama after a marquee-type game. I think the second game of the year, you remember, was it 2008 when they played Clemson in that opener and then came back and struggled against Tulane. So it's always a difficult game. You mentioned Mike White, the quarterback. Gary's one of only 7 quarterbacks over the last several years who has thrown for over 500 yards in a game and completed 80% of his passes.
Remarkable.
He was 25 of 32 against Rice for 517 yards, 3 touchdowns, had 2 receivers go over 100 yards. So this is an outstanding offensive team. There's no question about that, and they're going to challenge Alabama's secondary.
And we'll have our predictions on the game coming up later in the show. But coming up next, Alabama had the most dominating performance of the week of anybody in the poll. I think that's fair to say. Find out if the Crimson Tide earned a unanimous #1 ranking in the latest AP Top 25. And next, your phone calls, emails, and tweets. Call now. If you want to get through, you better be dialing 205-348-9882. If you delay and don't get through, I can't help you. Get through right now while there's some phone lines available. You can shoot us an email if you would like, or you can ask a question or make a comment on Twitter using the hashtag TITV. We'll be right back with more right after this. Stay with us. A 52-6 beatdown over the Trojans wasn't enough to earn Alabama a unanimous #1 ranking in the latest AP poll. The Tide did get 54 of the 61 first-place votes. Clemson is second, followed by Florida State, Ohio State, and Michigan. The only other SEC team in the top 10, Kirby Smart and Georgia Bulldogs, sneaking in there at #9 after beating North Carolina at the Georgia Dome. Welcome back to TITV. We're going straight to the phone lines because they are lined up for us tonight. Let's go to Wadawi. Don't say we to we. Let's go to Wadawi and talk to Carl. Carl, what's up, man?
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Doing great.
Hey, man, I know Coach State was going to do what he wanted to do with the quarterbacks today, but my question to y'all is, don't you think we need to get this quarterback thing situated, get it fixed, man, before we play Ole Miss, man, because last year we went in juggling and it didn't turn out too good.
Yeah, Carl, I'm going to tell you what, though. I think Nick Saban thinks that they've got it fixed. I think he feels like they've got 2 young quarterbacks that can play. They had a plan against Southern Cal. He said afterwards that Jalen Hurts was going in that 3rd series regardless of what had happened. I think they'll have a plan for Western Kentucky. I think the plan is to play both of those guys. What order and how it's done. So I know where you're coming from, but I think his feeling right now is we got 2 young guys that can play. We'll have a plan for each game. At some point, only may be 1 quarterback. But right now, it's 2.
Yeah, I think this is it, Carl. I think you're exactly right. I think he wants to have a plan in place, the permanent or a guy that he thinks is going to be the starter the rest of the year by the Ole Miss game. I think that's been the plan all along. I think this game right here, you'll possibly see 2 guys play. I'm not saying 2 won't play against Ole Miss, but I do think that he wants a guy that he believes is a starter heading into that Ole Miss game, and I think that's something that they've had in the works and in the plan for a while.
I think Jacaleb in Moundville also wants to talk quarterbacks. How are you, Jacaleb? Jacaleb, you with us? Going once, going twice, gone. You call in and get through. You hold on. He wants to know if Hurts is going to start. Stay on the line for us if you would. Saban wouldn't say yesterday. He said they'd have a plan for the quarterbacks. My gut instinct, I don't have any sources in my ears telling me this. I think Jalen Hurts will start on Saturday. Purely my opinion.
I agree. I think he'll start too, but again, we don't know that.
All right, let's get into an email, and this is on Big Raekwon Davis. What is the eligibility status of Raekwon Davis? Is from Doug up in Western Massachusetts. We don't know, Doug. Saban was asked about it yesterday. He says, when he knows something, he'll pass it along. The good news is he's enrolled, okay? He's enrolled. He's practicing. He's just not eligible for the games yet, so there's a chance that he may not play this year, but I don't see any scenario in which he would have to leave Alabama. Do you, Rodney?
No, under no condition. I think that he is as you mentioned, Gary, he's enrolled. He's fine. If he's not declared eligible, he'll just redshirt this year and participate in practices. Just won't travel to the games or participate in the games. And again, we don't know exactly when that'll happen. There was, feeling last week, Gary, that it would be done sometime this week and he would be ruled eligible for Western Kentucky. But again, that's just scuttlebutt. That hasn't come to fruition yet.
We know the NCAA works on their own timetable. Boy, he is big. He's a monster. All right, CB, hold on that line, brother. We'll get to you when we come back. Don't go anywhere, because next we'll hear from Alabama Director of Athletics Bill Battle at his first interview since undergoing chemotherapy. And more phone calls, emails, and tweets. Again, the information there on your screen. The Twitter handle is #TITV. We're going to keep it rolling, man. I mean, this is what we've been waiting for all summer. Alabama's 1-0, just hung 52 on USC. Got a tough game coming up. We'll continue to analyze it next on TITV.
You know, I want to take cancer and kick its butt. I want to believe that it's not going to kill me and it's not going to get the best of me. And I'm going to do my part, whether it's diet or exercise or whatever it might be, medication, to try to deal with it, learn as much as I can about it, and fight it all the way to the finish.
Inspirational words from Bill Battle. He sat down with WVUA 23's Mike Royer in an exclusive interview about his fight against multiple myeloma. You can watch the full interview, and believe me, you want to stay tuned for this. On Thursday night at 7 o'clock, September the 8th, only right here on WVUA 23. Again, you want to watch this. This is must-see TV. And I tell you, Bill Battle, tough as nails, and I think he will kick its butt, as he said. Cancer, get on out of here. All right, let's go back to the phone lines, and let's stay here in T-Town. Our buddy CB's been holding on the line. Welcome in, CB. What up, man?
Fine, buddy. How y'all doing?
All right.
I wish you the best for Coach Battle. You know, we love a W in T-Town. We love Alabama football. And, of course, as Coach says, the players represent the state of Alabama and the university. What was going on the sideline? A lot of folks asked me, was that something happening or a rapping match?
We got it covered for you, CB. All right, first of all, Coach Saban said yesterday Alabama's got a no-talking rule. They're not supposed to talk to the opponent. USC doesn't have that rule, evidently, because they were talking a lot of smack, a lot of trash to Alabama. And, of course, he had Ruffin with the foot into the bad area for Mika Fitzpatrick. It upset Ronnie Harrison a lot. I think he got in the face of a USC guy. Eddie Jackson came over to say, man, we don't do that. He was emotional. He got on the sideline. You know, they're wanting to win. They're tired of listening to USC. Just some good emotional response. Everybody's on the same page. Eddie Jackson, Ronnie Harrison, Anthony Averett, all these guys are great friends. Hey, man, you've been a competitor, CB. It happens from time to time. You prefer not to see it, but I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's everybody coming to the aid of their teammate and getting a little tired of the way USC was conducting their business on the field.
And I think Ronnie was a little chippy earlier in the game, too, and I think Eddie just wanted to settle him down. And Reuben Foster, I think they wanted to take control of a young player. This was really his first opportunity to start, even though he played a lot last season. But, he's a valuable player in the secondary. And, again, you saw the leadership there with Eddie Jackson, Reuben Foster, and those guys trying to settle him down.
All right, let's just go down the street to Cottondale here and talk to Gerald. Gerald, welcome into the program. Gerald, you with us? All right, Gerald. Brandon, you know his question, or you just want to move on? All right, he wanted to know about Chad Kelly, how he played last night. Well, Chad Kelly's going to make some plays for his team. He's going to make some plays for your team. You get some heat on that guy. He doesn't err on the side of caution. We saw him get lucky last year when he got bailed out and hit the guy on the helmet and he went for a touchdown. Got to get heat on him, make him uncomfortable. Yeah, he's going to make some plays against Alabama or anybody. But you rattle him, he'll also make mistakes. That's what I think.
Yeah, I thought he threw some up last night, obviously. I thought, too, looking at Ole Miss's line, at times they didn't help him out much. So, but that's for next week.
Yep. All right, yeah, you got to get through WKU first. Let's go to Taylorville and talk to John. John, welcome into the program, my friend. John. We got some phone line issues, or what's going on here? All right, he wants an update on Ben Davis. If you call in and they tell you to hold on the line and you want to ask a question, hold on the line. All right, he wants to know about Ben Davis. What's his status?
Well, he's practicing. I don't know if he'll play or contribute this year or not. I didn't see him out there Saturday. Didn't look at the participation chart to see if he played. But, again, he's got some guys in front of him. He's got some experience that he needs and some reps that he needs to be able to contribute. So, will he play this year? I don't know.
All right, let's get to an email real quickly before we have to wrap it up. This is from Rusty in Bellwood. What's the deal with Deshaun Hand's playing time? Well, he got in, played some. They've just – he's a situational guy right now.
Yeah, he played some early, too, and then came back in later in the game. So, again, I think we'll see more of Deshaun Hand as we start moving along.
All right, it's prediction time. When we come back, we're both 1-0 after the USC game. Will we remain that way? We'll have to find out. More Tider Insider TV. Look at this sunshine. What an evening. We're back after this. Welcome back to TITV. Well, Ronnie, you and I both had Alabama winning by at least 2 touchdowns last week. We weren't in the ballpark, as it turned out, but not many people had it 52-6. But it is a new game. Western Kentucky's a 27-point underdog, but I got to tell you, as I said earlier, I think they're a quality team. I certainly don't expect them to beat Alabama, but they could give the Tide some trouble. How do you see it?
Well, you know, we talked about this earlier, Gary. I think when you look at this game, it's a matchup where, you know, Western Kentucky playing Alabama, catching them at a pretty good time because Alabama's coming off that marquee game. Sometimes that can be really difficult for a team in Alabama's position. You look at Western Kentucky, they're going to certainly present some problems. They have a big-time offense in terms of their passing, and I think they're going to challenge the Alabama secondary, the pass defense, the pass rush, all of that. I think certainly they can put up a challenge in that regard. But, you know, obviously Alabama's an extremely talented football team. I think the thing I would like to see, I want to see how Alabama responds offensively, Gary. I want to see how they get the running game going and see if they can generate some running game. I pick it 38-10.
You know, there's your pick right there. Yeah, 38-10. I got to tell you, I think that this is a good football team. To me, it's a difficult game because when you hear Western Kentucky, again, they don't get the respect necessarily that the fans should give them, but they're not bad. You know, sometimes you play a team and you think it's going to be a blowout because the team's really bad. That's not the case here. They are catching Alabama at a good time. I'm with you, but I'm like you. I think Alabama clearly is going to win the game. The question is by how much. I think it'll be a relatively close game for a while. So we check out my prediction. I've got Alabama winning at 34-13, 3 touchdowns. But not the 27-point line that the odds makers have set. I think it'll be a fun game, the home opener, but Alabama will get the W. Then get ready for Ole Miss, and we will be sure to have a lot on that game coming up next week. Well, our beautiful shirts and ties, as always, provided by the Locker Room in downtown Tuscaloosa, home of the original Elephant Wear. Go by and see Alex Rush and the staff in person at their beautiful new store, or you can shop online at locker-room.biz. They've also got women's apparel as well, and, man, they're going to make you feel like $1 million when you go in there, and you're going to look like $1 million as well. So check out the Locker Room downtown Tuscaloosa and feel good about game days going to the game in some original Elephant Wear. If you missed any of the night's show, you can catch a replay at 10:30 right after the news at 10, or you can also find it on our website, WVUA23.com. For Rodney Orr, I'm Gary Harris. Thanks for watching Tider Insider TV. Have a great night. We'll talk to you again next week.